I don't think I've ever had an aircraft model just like this, where I, within an instant of a moment, have been switching from finding it really interesting to extremely boring, or really good to really bad. All I know for certain is the fact that the more time I spend with it, the more it intrigues me. Whether this is a good or a bad thing, we'll find out after the drop. With that, hello and welcome to a new episode of Review, where we today will take a closer look at a Sukhoi Superjet SSJ-100 of Center South Airlines. At the front of the box we have a cutout so we can get a glimpse of the aircraft model inside, and on top of that we have the 75th anniversary of Sukhoi branding. On the back side of the box we then find a lovely image of the aircraft in real life, underneath which we find a web link provided by Herpa Wings where we supposedly can get more information about the aircraft. However, this link does not work anymore. And here she is, the Sukhoi Superjet SSJ-100 of Center South Airlines in the special livery celebrating the 75th anniversary of the aircraft manufacturer Sukhoi. Now, Center South Airlines was, at least in the West, a very little known Russian airlines that started its operations back in 1993 and ceased operations in 2015. Now, in the last years of operation, the airline was operating one or perhaps even more SSJ-100s. The source material here was very unclear, but at least one of them was flying around in this livery. There is lots more to say about this aircraft model, but firstly we should just take a closer look at the model itself to see what it actually has to offer. So as always, we start our tour around the aircraft model with a look at the tail section, where we on the vertical stabilizer find the Sukhoi branding. On the fuselage we then have the flag of the Russian Federation, the full registration code of the aircraft, and the aircraft type specification, as well as some detailing around the APU exhaust towards the very tail of the aircraft. At the front of the aircraft and across the fuselage, we then in Cyrillic writing have written the 75th anniversary of Sukhoi. This we also find on the other side of the fuselage in English writing. Then next to the front cabin door we have a little logo, which I very much assume is the logo of Center South Airlines, because otherwise it would be a completely unbranded aircraft, which would be rather unusual. Underneath the cockpit windows we then find the name of the aircraft, and then we have this lovely black mask around the cockpit windows. Of course we have the cockpit windows as well, and the window wipers printed on. We don't really have any other details here, but it isn't quite as noticeable given the elaborate livery. The engine nacelles have been kept in the golden color that we also find across the fuselage and have the silver leading edge printed on. That is, however, the only printed detail we find on the engine nacelles. A bit more convincing here is simply the physical detailing of the engines, which I think Herpa has done rather nicely, especially considering the size of these tiny little engines. Then we can move on to the wings, which we should definitely also take a closer look at, starting over the top side, where we can see the full registration code has been printed on across both wings, and we also have the different flaps, slats and spoilers carved out, although that could have been a little bit more pronounced. The full registration code we then again find on the underside of the wings, and also here we have some lovely physical detailing. The landing gear itself, that is the standard landing gear that Herpa uses for all their Sukhoi SSJ-100s, which is very nice in this case because Herpa actually does quite well in replicating that here in scale 500. But one thing that we are of course still missing is some printed details around the front landing gear. Then on the belly of the aircraft we find a hole in the fuselage for a stand, which is however not included with this aircraft model, making this rather pointless. And then last but not least we do also have the doors to the cargo compartments printed on here at the back of the aircraft, and also here at the front of the aircraft. So there we have it, the Sukhoi Superjet SSJ-100 of Center South Airlines in the special 75th anniversary livery of Sukhoi from Herpa Wings in scale 1 to 500. And what can we say about this aircraft model? I must admit, it has seldom happened that a model like this has confused me as much as this does. On the surface, it looks great. Herpa is doing well in replicating the SSJ-100 in the physical detailing, the mold is good, and also the print quality of this rather special livery they have executed very well. When I saw this aircraft model for the first time, I just assumed that Herpa had made a Sukhoi house color model, which it however isn't. It is a model of the airline Center South Airlines. That however, as I mentioned, ceased operations in 2015. And funnily enough, Herpa made this model in 2016. And I'm sure that even in Russia this airline would have been regarded as tiny and obscure. So perhaps the combination of the perhaps not ideal marketing from Herpa Wings, making it rather unclear what this model actually is, and then of an airline that doesn't exist anymore, has of course led to extremely poor sales when it came to this aircraft model. Basically no one bought it. I mean, even I didn't buy it. I only pulled it in a Herpa Wings Halloween surprise box. I would never ever have dreamed of buying it myself. And that, I must admit, is actually a shame, because the model itself looks great. And when else do you have the opportunity of having a golden aircraft in your fleet? So with that little surprise, it is time to end today's episode. If you have enjoyed this video, then don't forget to leave a like. That would be very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe? That would be absolutely awesome. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.